Welcome back, horror movie lovers. Today, we're going to watch a very graphic and disturbing film. The Texas Chainsaw Massacre, The Beginning, 2006. The story takes place in 1939 at a slaughterhouse in Texas. One day, a pregnant worker was on the assembly line when she suddenly felt herself going into labor.
Boss, I need a bathroom break. Please. Lord, help me.
Just a few minutes later, the worker, using her last ounce of strength, gave birth to a baby boy with a facial deformity. Sadly, the woman couldn't be saved due to severe blood loss. The factory manager glanced at the child, deeming him bad luck, and without a second thought, threw him directly into a dumpster in the back alley. Coincidentally, a woman happened to be passing by. She heard a noise coming from the dumpster, looked inside, and found a baby. Without hesitation, she took the child home. After cleaning him up, she named him Thomas Hewitt. But from a young age, Thomas Hewitt knew he was different from other children. His facial deformity made his speech unclear. Villagers would avoid him and secretly called him a monster. When Thomas Hewitt grew up, he didn't have many options. He could only work at the very slaughterhouse that had once discarded him. He worked there for decades. Years passed, and it was 1969. The slaughterhouse was ordered to shut down by the government. Thomas Hewitt, however, paid no mind. He continued to show up for work on time every single day. Seeing this, his boss had no choice but to call Thomas Hewitt into his office.
What are you still doing here? Go home, we're out of business. You and your family are the only ones stupid enough to still be living in this town. You kind of belong in this shithole.
I'm freeing you.
After Thomas Hewitt had finished his gruesome deed, he set his eyes on a powerful chainsaw sitting on the table. From that moment on, Thomas Hewitt and the chainsaw became inseparable. Meanwhile, the town's sheriff received a report from the slaughterhouse. He immediately rushed to the Hewitt family's home. The door was opened by Thomas Hewitt's uncle, Charlie Hewitt. The sheriff informed him that Thomas Hewitt had caused trouble at the factory. They needed to find him immediately, so the sheriff asked Charlie Hewitt to ride along and help him search. As they drove down the road, the two spotted Thomas Hewitt strolling by the roadside, carrying a chainsaw. The sheriff pulled over and told Charlie Hewitt to wait in the car. He got out to apprehend Thomas Hewitt himself, but the moment he stepped out, Charlie Hewitt stealthily grabbed the shotgun from the car. He then slipped out from the other side of the vehicle.
I think we got a problem, Sheriff.
Back at the house, Charlie Hewitt stripped the sheriff of his uniform. He put it on and found it fit him perfectly. From that day on, Charlie Hewitt assumed the identity of the sheriff. The Hewitt family also took root on this desolate land. Meanwhile, two young couples were driving across Texas. Eric, the elder brother, had just returned from the Vietnam War and was about to be deployed to the front lines again. This time, he wanted to take his younger brother, Dean, with him. Also accompanying them were Eric's girlfriend, Chrissy, and Dean's girlfriend, Bailey. So before their departure, the group decided to take one last road trip. However, Dean was unwilling to join the army. So, when his brother wasn't paying attention, he secretly pulled out his draft card and set it on fire.
What the hell are you doing?
I'm not going, Eric.
What do you mean you're not going?
I'm not going, Eric.
The two immediately erupted into a fierce argument inside the car. But before long, a biker gang suddenly appeared in their rearview mirror. Unexpectedly, one of the female riders immediately pulled out a shotgun and forced them to stop. Seeing this, Eric pulled a handgun directly from the seat compartment. When everyone opened their eyes again, the car had already flipped into a ditch. Everyone inside was injured to varying degrees. That's when Eric realized his girlfriend, Chrissy, was nowhere to be found. As he was about to get out and search for her, he looked up and saw...
Wow, man, I am impressed. Y'all are tougher than I thought.
What do you want from us?
Oh, everything. How about we get this robbery thing out of the way, huh?
Just then, a police car pulled up. Eric and the others thought their savior had arrived. Little did they know, this was just the beginning of their nightmare, because the man who stepped out of the patrol car was none other than Sheriff Hewitt. The deranged woman immediately rushed forward, was just about to open his mouth to put on an act as if she were an old acquaintance of his. Meanwhile, Chrissy, who had been flung into the tall grass, was jolted awake by the sound of the gunshot. As she was about to stand up and crawl out, she saw her boyfriend frantically signaling her to stay hidden. Chrissy instantly understood and quietly retreated deeper into the bushes. Immediately after, Sheriff Hewitt ordered the three of them to load the woman's body into his patrol car and then get into the back seat themselves. Deep down they all knew this old man was no legitimate police officer, but with a gun pointed at their heads, no one dared to utter a single word of protest. Once the patrol car drove off, Chrissy finally dared to crawl out of the bushes. She quickly scrambled into their wrecked vehicle, hoping to see if it would still start. But just then, she heard the sound of a car approaching in the distance. Chrissy was startled and quickly dove under the back seat. It turned out to be Uncle Monty, coming to tow the wrecked car back to the old house. He then hoisted the car up, towing it back with Chrissy still hidden inside. Meanwhile, Charlie Hewitt, along with the three captives, also arrived at the old house. Once the car stopped, Charlie Hewitt got out and yelled into the house, telling Thomas Hewitt to come out and deal with the prey.
What is that?
Go ahead. Get on out of there.
Next, Eric and his brother Dean were also taken by Thomas Hewitt into the storeroom and hung up. Just then, Uncle Monty also towed the car back. Once the car was stationary, Chrissy slid out and immediately crawled under the car. She lay underneath, observing for a long time, and only dared to crawl out from under the car after confirming no one was around. She then crept, hunched over, to the backyard. There, she immediately spotted the two brothers hanging. However, at this moment, Chrissy didn't dare to approach alone, because a direct confrontation would surely mean her demise. So she turned and ran, planning to find help nearby. Meanwhile, the second uncle had just gone back inside to grab some beer when he found Bailey tied up under the table. The second uncle ignored her, carrying his beer back out. Just then, Thomas Hewitt came up from the basement. Outside, Eric heard Bailey's screams, and he was panicking like a cat on a hot tin roof. He was desperately trying to figure out how to break free from his ropes. Just then, Charlie Hewitt appeared.
My God, I'm gonna make a soldier out of you yet! No! Please! Please! Are you ashamed of your country, Dean? No, please!
Eric's face was turning purple from being choked. Dean immediately yelled out that the draft card was his. "If you're so tough, come at me instead." It turned out that Sheriff Hewitt had just found the half-burnt draft card in the car. He hated deserters and all cowards who wouldn't fight on the battlefield. But since Dean had already confessed it was his, he stopped tormenting Eric.
Please, can you let him breathe?
My apologies.
Eric!
Then he threw Dean onto the ground, telling him he now had two choices: either hang there and starve to death, or do 10 push-ups. But Dean, with his skinny arms and legs and already injured, could only grit his teeth and try to endure. But how could Charlie, that cunning old fox, possibly let him off so easily? How could he possibly let him off so easily? No sooner had Dean pushed himself up than Charlie grabbed a police baton and savagely whipped him. He beat and cursed him, uttering every vile insult imaginable.
Got more guts than I thought you had, boy. I'm a man of my word. Free to go.
I'm gonna fucking kill you!
My money says he ain't going nowhere.
Eric stared at his brother, lying motionless on the ground, his eyes burning with desperation. So he started kicking furiously at the wooden planks. He immediately untied his ropes and rushed to Dean's side. Thankfully, he was still alive. He then helped Dean up, planning to hide him first. Meanwhile, Chrissy finally made it to the highway. As she ran, a motorcycle suddenly approached her. It was the biker gang's leader.
Okay, my friends, they have my friends, okay? They're in a house over there through the woods. Look, they have your friend. They took your friend. I saw you both at the store. He shot her. The sheriff shot her.
Show me where.
At the same time, the old woman was chatting with her best friend inside the house. Suddenly, with a crash, a brick flew through the window. The old woman immediately sprang to her feet, shouting for Charlie to come down quickly. The heavy-set woman stood up, trying to run, but she was stuck in her seat and couldn't get up. Eric seized the opportunity, pushed the door open, and ran inside. But just as the two of them managed to stand, Charlie Hewitt came chasing them, gun in hand. In a panic, they both worked together and used the heavy-set woman as a human shield to block the doorway. After they both ran outside, Eric first went to help his brother Dean out of the pile of debris. Meanwhile, Bailey went to start the car, preparing to pick them up. But just as the car started, Eric and Dean had just rounded a corner when they ran straight into Charlie Hewitt. Eric pushed Dean behind him, telling him to run first. While he himself walked straight towards the gun barrel, he started yelling at Charlie Hewitt.
Out of my way.
You're not a candy ass, are you, Sheriff? Motherfucker, dragger!
Dean, dragging his injured leg, ran desperately. But as he ran, he stepped right into a bear trap. Dean screamed, collapsing to the ground. Distracted, was immediately knocked unconscious by Charlie Hewitt. Immediately after, Thomas Hewitt carried Eric into the basement and dropped him onto a chopping block. Only then did Eric realize that the female biker was hanging on a rack behind him. She had been dismembered beyond recognition, like a half-carcass of pork hanging in a slaughterhouse. Eric struggled to get up, but Thomas Hewitt knocked him unconscious with a single punch. Next, he fetched nails and a hammer. With a few thuds, he nailed Eric's limbs to a wooden board. Afterward, he pulled out a small knife and traced it back and forth on Eric's face, figuring out where to make the first cut to peel off his entire face. Meanwhile, Chrissy, along with the biker gang leader, finally made their way to Charlie Hewitt's house before dark.
I'm going to get my girlfriend.
No, my friends.
What?
My friends.
Fuck your friends. You're on your own.
Chrissy was enraged by this, but she knew she could only rely on herself now. So she secretly circled to the side of the house, but found the old lady busy in the kitchen. Seizing the opportunity, the moment the old lady turned her back, she crouched low and quietly crept inside. This action immediately woke up Uncle Monty downstairs. He was about to go out and see what was happening. Charlie Hewitt heard the commotion and immediately rushed over. He thought Uncle Monty had accidentally discharged his gun. He walked in grumbling and cursing.
What you done to yourself?
I didn't do it.
Stop your damn whining, Uncle Monty.
Charlie Hewitt was instantly silenced. The gang leader didn't waste any time and got straight to the point. He asked where his girlfriend was. The old fox seemed cooperative, but his mouth wasn't idle. As he walked, he yelled for Thomas Hewitt at the top of his lungs. This shout directly summoned the killing machine from the basement. Meanwhile, Chrissy was hiding in the shadows. After Thomas Hewitt walked away, Chrissy seized the opportunity to creep downstairs. She finally saw her boyfriend Eric nailed to a wooden board. Chrissy tried to pry open the metal plates to free him, but she didn't have enough strength. After prying for a long time, it didn't budge an inch. Meanwhile, Charlie Hewitt led the gang leader to Bailey's room. But the gang leader took one look and realized it wasn't his girlfriend at all. He immediately raised his gun, intending to shoot Charlie Hewitt. But the next second, luckily, the gang leader reacted quickly and knocked away the chainsaw. But Thomas Hewitt's strength was truly insane. He easily flung the man onto the chainsaw. Charlie Hewitt seized the opportunity and immediately pinned down the biker leader's arm.
Get over here! Get that thing!
Accompanied by a deafening roar, the biker leader was instantly killed. In the basement, Eric heard screams and the sound of the chainsaw from upstairs. He knew Thomas Hewitt was about to come down. He told Chrissy to hide under the wooden planks. No sooner had she hidden than Thomas Hewitt came down, carrying his chainsaw. He walked straight up to Eric, staring at Eric's face for a long moment. After sizing him up, Thomas Hewitt immediately started the chainsaw. Chrissy cowered under the table. Her tears almost dried up, but didn't dare make a sound. Then, right in front of her, Thomas Hewitt peeled off Eric's entire face. Immediately after, he put it on his own head. Believe it or not, once he put on this face, his terrifying transformation was complete. Finally, after Thomas Hewitt finished admiring himself and left, Chrissy only then dared to tiptoe to the door. But just as she was about to sneak away, she heard Bailey's screams from behind her. Chrissy hesitated for half a second, then turned and walked back into hell. Afterwards, she secretly crept upstairs, only to find the entire family busy tending to Uncle Money's gunshot wound. Because if the bullet wasn't removed now, it would surely get infected. Then Charlie Hewitt had a sudden idea. He immediately called Thomas Hewitt over. He planned to have him perform a small operation on Uncle Monty. But after the sawing, Charlie Hewitt felt it was asymmetrical, so he suggested sawing off both legs to make it more balanced. Leatherface didn't hesitate, hitting exactly where he was told. He made 2 quick cuts. This action completely bewildered the old woman. He had only injured one leg, yet they turned him into a human stump. Meanwhile, taking advantage of the commotion over there as the leg was being sawed, and finally made her way to Bailey's room. Just as she was about to untie her, Bailey's words completely shattered her resolve.
I know you're here.
I'll have Mama throw on another plate for supper. You can stay.
When Chrissy woke up again, she found herself tied to the dining table. Her companions were all there as well. Chrissy figured she wouldn't survive anyway, so she decided to confront them directly.
You guys fuck all your cousins or just the ones you find attractive?
Honestly, she wasn't wrong, but being so defiant on their turf was truly asking for trouble. Charlie Hewitt was enraged. He immediately ordered Thomas Hewitt to slit Bailey's throat.
Take that one downstairs.
No, you stay away from me, you fucking animal! You get the fuck away from me now! Get your hands off me!
Thomas Hewitt carried Chrissy towards the basement, but no one noticed that. As they passed the table, Chrissy snatched a screwdriver.
She's gonna tell them all what we've done.
Meanwhile, Dean, who was in the dining room, also woke up. The moment he opened his eyes, he saw his girlfriend dead beside him. He immediately broke free from his ropes, and with eyes red with fury, he rushed out.
You motherfucker! See what kind of soldier you are, Sheriff. Blood! Oh, that was beautiful form, Sheriff. Halfway doesn't count, dickhead. That's all you got. That's all you fucking got. Fucker! You killed my girlfriend! Fucking asshole! Fuck! My money says you're not going anywhere.
Meanwhile, Chrissy had also run into a slaughterhouse, and the factory owner was still lying there. Chrissy was also lucky. She immediately spotted the factory manager's car keys. But just then, she heard a noise coming from outside. Chrissy grabbed a small knife and ran. She then hid in a box full of bloody water. Soon, Thomas Hewitt also found his way there. Chrissy was about to be discovered. She seized the opportunity to stand up. She plunged a knife into Thomas Hewitt's body. At that critical moment, Dean made a dramatic entrance. He struck Thomas Hewitt on the head with a club. If that blow had landed on a normal person, their brains would have been splattered. But Thomas Hewitt was completely unfazed. He immediately swung his chainsaw back and impaled Dean with it. Terrified by the sight, Chrissy turned and ran. Outside, she finally spotted the factory manager's car. She immediately jumped in, floored the accelerator, and sped away. Just as she drove onto the road, she saw a police car parked ahead. In that moment, Chrissy believed she was about to be saved, but the very next second, the car instantly lost control and crashed directly into the police car by the roadside. With that, the entire group was wiped out. In the years that followed, Charlie Hewitt and Thomas Hewitt teamed up, successively murdered 33 innocent people passing through Texas. From then on, this desolate stretch of Texas became a forbidden zone no one dared to enter, because anyone with an ounce of sense would steer clear when passing by. After all, no one wanted to become the next takeout order. And that's where the movie ends. I am Movie Briefs. See you next time. Bye-bye.